On Tuesday at Marketing Crew, we discussed networking secrets, where all the members shared their best practice, some of the challenges they have when they're going networking, whether that's online or offline. And would you believe I forgot to record it? So I just wanted to mention some of the main points that were discussed on Tuesday. And interestingly, we did have a guest. It was Nick Sladek from Bristol, who raised the point that networking is actually a sales and a marketing process. It's part of that approach, if you like. And he's absolutely right. We go to networking events, particularly business ones, for business. So it needs to be taken that seriously. But hereby lies the challenge as I see it. Majority of people I've ever met in business, and I've met thousands, they're not trained, they don't have a background in marketing, or what I call joined up marketing. And the challenge is with marketing, it seems so either difficult or easy, but very few people actually join it up so that it becomes very effective. And it's the same with networking. People that have got businesses and they start out in business, they didn't start out with a marketing business. They started out with an electrical contractor, they're a website designer, they're a graphic designer, they're a photographer or whatever. And they've got to market those services and get in front of the right audience to be successful. But their core business, their skill set, their background is not marketing. And it's the same with networking. People think that turning up and being pleasant, building a nice relationship with people, exchanging business cards will actually result in business. And of course, occasionally it does, but it's not really on purpose. The majority of people want business from their networking activity to return the investment they've made, but they don't necessarily do what's required. They don't have a strategy to do that. So just as people don't have a joined up marketing strategy, very few people have a joined up networking strategy. And perhaps the exceptions are long-term BNI members, because the core premise of the BNI process is training and discipline and accountability. And a lot of people don't like that, but I'm afraid that is what produces results. Now, the benefit, of course, in Marketing Crew is that you get all of the benefits of discussing joined up marketing as well as joined up networking and referral strategies. And we actually actively help people get more business from their existing networks, online or offline, by some of the discussions that we have. And obviously the training we provide. And I've got nearly 20 years experience in that arena and a lot more experience in the marketing arena. So the discussion went along the lines of essentially the first thing we need to get clear from a marketing or a networking business, the networking strategy, is your audience. Who you've got to know, and you've got to be able to clearly define your audience, because if you're not talking to the right people, then you're going to get frustrated. You're going to be selling your services to people who have got absolutely no requirement for them. So your audience is really key. And when it comes to networking, that is where the first error is made. A lot of people imagine that they walk into a room and they make judgments about who would be their next big client. And that the room means online and offline. I believe you have to start with the premise that the people in that room are not your target audience. They're more valuable than that. They have got access to your target audience, but they don't know who that target audience is just yet. And by the way, they don't know how you add value, whether they like you, whether they trust you, whether they think you're competent, professional, etc. So if you approach them in entirely the wrong way, in a salesy way, if you start selling to a room, it's going to turn people off, and it does, but you won't know. They won't tell you. It's just that They blank off. So the first thing to do is to think about who is my target audience and who is likely in that group that you meet to have access to that target audience. Who are the people most likely to be able to introduce you? Because if you are sharing an audience with somebody, first of all, they'll get the language. You'll use the sort of language that you use. I come from a creative background, a marketing background. I'm keen on photography and videography. So anybody involved in that professionally, I've got a natural interest in. Legal and financial issues have never been my strongest point. I've never taken a real interest. And so normally I wouldn't have any ability to help those people. The fact that I've been trained through BNI and had 20 years experience, I've helped many legal and financial and accountancy people get business because I know how to train people. I know how to tease out of them who their audience is, and I can make assessments and judgments as to whether I trust that person enough to be able to make those introductions, because I certainly will not be making any introductions to anybody where I feel that the person I'm trying to help is not going to be served. And you would be the same. So that's the first thing. Who's your target audience? Remembering that the people you're in front of, your network, are not necessarily your target audience. And so therefore, what do you need to do to help them help you? You have to educate them. And the education process is not at that meeting. It's in the one-to-ones you arrange after the meeting where you follow up. And sadly, too few people follow up. They just don't do it. I don't know why. You meet somebody. I would think it's only courteous to thank them for the time they spent talking to you. It's only courteous to show that you're reliable in actually following up and doing what you said you would do. And also following up with the feeling that, can I help this person? That's where I come from. I didn't to begin with. I would follow up in order to pin them to a wall and sell them my stuff. And I missed out big time, because if you can build a rapport, a relationship where you're looking to help them and they can help you, that could go on for a long time. Instead of one client, that could lead to 2, 3, 4, 5, and really big clients that you don't have ready access to yourself. So networking is a very powerful strategy, especially for new businesses and businesses on a tight marketing budget, but you have to take it seriously. I'm trying to think of other things that you might want to look at. A big part of that process of building relationship and understanding is actually asking the right questions and listening to the answers. Not being too ready to talk. I very quickly cottoned on to a particular approach that worked very well for me in BNI. And it was approaching somebody that I'd met for the first time, that maybe had become a member, maybe somebody I'd met at a networking event. And my opening question still remains the same today. How can I help you get more business? And it's a genuine one. How can I help you get more business? And I then need to ask questions. I'm expecting, but not expecting, that they'll tell me how they can help them get business. But it's not always the case. It's very rarely the case. You've got to tease that out. You've got to take them through a particular process. And that's why one-to-one meetings need to have a structure. If you're going to take it seriously, it needs to have a structure. You need certain questions answering. And next week on Marketing Crew, we're actually going to be going through this process and then having some really valuable one-to-ones in the meeting. Some of the questions that you might want to follow up with after you've asked the question, how can I help you get more business, are, who exactly can I introduce you to? In other words, who is your target market? Secondly, what are the 3 challenges? 2 challenges, 3 challenges more? What are the challenges do they typically face that you help them with? And the third one is, how do you help them? How do you add value? How do you uniquely add value? What do you do that your competitors don't do? And if you can support those answers with testimonials, with stories and examples, you're educating people in exactly the right way. So there's a lot more to getting more from your networking. At any time you can reach out to me, whether you want to come on a call, whether you want to do a one-to-one Zoom call. I can guarantee you will leave that call where I'll have raised questions that you ought to be thinking about in the way in which you approach networking in a purposeful manner. Hope you found that useful, and I hope for our members that I'm sending this to will forgive me for actually not recording Tuesday's meeting. We've been running these for over a year, and every single meeting, whatever we talked about, is available on our membership site. And this is the one time that I didn't do it. So I will make sure that this is put onto the membership site so that people can refer to it afterwards. Anyway, I hope you found it useful. All the very best.